On the 27th of December 2021, YouTuber MamaMax released a video called Pick a Side YouTube, talking about the standards YouTube have when it comes to content creators. MamaMax on YouTube makes videos covering dark topics and exposing people who harm children and/or animals. And I need to get a few housekeeping things out the way before I criticize the video, because I don't like this video. That might surprise some of you because I have made videos going over people who mistreat children and/or animals, but this video makes me uncomfortable, and not in the way that MamaMax wanted me to feel uncomfortable. It's clear to me that this video's intense purpose was to spark disgust, outrage, and discomfort with the viewer, so they rally behind him in a cause. Didn't do that for me, did the opposite. I avoided the topic like the plague. Here are the points that I want to make before going into the video. Number one, I can definitely appreciate Max's content. He clearly puts a lot of time and effort into this, and I can appreciate justice being done in a social setting. Because I can recognise that a perpetrator shouldn't only have to deal with legal repercussions, but also have to deal with society and shunning. On the flip side, I have absolutely zero knowledge of any person being arrested or a singular child being saved based solely on the content that Max makes. I also happen to be a survivor of CSA. The thing about survivors of CSA, we aren't a monolith, which is another criticism that I'm going to get into in this video, when Max's argument rests upon the fact that his audience, a large portion of them being CSA survivors, have asked him to do this. And by this, I mean making the content that he does. The video in question is a complaint piece, essentially. It talks about YouTube's strange terms of service when it comes to darker content. Not allowing people to expose undesirables, but allowing undesirables to stay on the platform. The problem I have with this video is a problem I have with the majority of Max's content, and that is the horror aesthetic. The creepy music, the dark colour palette, the low lighting. It gives the impression that the subjects of the video are otherworldly beings, boogeymen who hide in the bushes. For some people, it may elevate the feeling of urgency with the matter, needing to deal with it as soon as possible. For others, it just takes away the grounding of reality. The majority of CSA survivors will experience CSA at the hands of somebody they already know. Family members, friends of the family, teachers, authority figures in other institutions, these are the people that are committing these acts. I understand when it comes to the internet, it's far more obscure because communication on the internet is limitless. But even so, these people will approach these children in kind. They won't snatch them up and take them away to a basement. They'll talk to them and befriend them. While I understand it's a stylistic choice and definitely amps up the shock value, I don't think it's necessarily helpful when encapsulating the full issue of CSA. When I watch a video by Max, I get the impression that we need an exorcist and not a police officer.
It is volatile, intense, disturbing, upsetting, raw, and real. Because that is the subject matter it is covering, and that is the way it should be covered.
Again, it's a stylistic difference. Some people may enjoy that, some people may not. I personally would feel insulted if something that happened to me were covered in this way. I want it to be real. I don't want it to be portrayed as if it were a horror film. While it might be scarier than a horror film, horror films are made in a way to entertain and shock. I don't want that for my story. And I'm sure Max has already got the permission from the said survivors in the cases he talks about. This is just a personal difference. And this is why CSA survivors are not a monolith, and I don't like the way how Max seems to imply that his audience are a representation for all CSA survivors.
As my audience, many of whom are CSA survivors, have instructed me to do.
Case in point. Now I understand it's Max's audience, and Max's audience can request for this to be portrayed in that way, and that's absolutely fine. However, I'm commenting on somebody who's on the same platform and can view the same videos. I'm also free to criticize this stylistic choice as much as Max is free to make that stylistic choice.
But no matter how vital the video may be to them, you take down our and continue to help absolute advising silence.
A lot of this critique will come from a perception of style when it comes to visuals, music, and language. But again, I don't like this. Rubs me the wrong way and comes off as an ego trip that because your videos are being taken down, the CSA survivors are going to scream in silence. I'm going to tell people right now, and this just isn't about Max, it's about everyone. Your video isn't what CSA survivors need. What they need is easy access to healthcare, whether that be mental or physical, and the knowledge that they are safe, and the knowledge that the perpetrator who did this to them can never do it to them or anybody else again. I know very few CSA survivors who actively want a video on the person who did this to them because they don't want to have to see that person's face or name again. And I understand I am not policing it. If CSA survivors want their story out there and want their perpetrator to be accountable publicly, that is fine. But it is not a necessity for every single CSA survivor. I couldn't imagine inviting somebody onto my channel and not giving them the full brief of what the content they're providing to me will be used for. Max then goes on to show a compilation of other creators making their statements. YouTube is first and foremost a company that wants to make money, and if certain advertisers don't want to have their ads run on certain videos, they can freely make that choice. Does it suck? Yes. Is it mental that certain family channels and toy review videos can have suggestive content with children in it? And I think that YouTubers should have the free right to cover these topics and talk about it. But if you're going to do it in a stylistically dark and graphic way, YouTube has the free choice to take that down. In some videos that Max makes, there is some dark and graphic content. I don't think that videos need to have audio of animals screaming in pain in order to get the point across. If anything, that comes off as exploitative to me, and I know why Max does this. It's for shock value to make people really think that this is real. I, however, don't find it necessary.
But I'm worried that all of your wise words will go to waste if no one sees this. So let's all go ahead and forcefully drag everyone down with us.
Goes on to perform what I can only describe as a summoning ritual, calling out some big creators and figures in spreading this message. And I definitely don't like the sentiment of this, dragging people down with you. The problem with this is that after this video, many people flooded creators with messages and tweets and emails demanding that they talk about this subject, regardless whether or not they actually have any content on their own channels that is relevant to the topic. They were given a choice: children or undesirables. Which is a bad faith question, because who the hell is going to go, yeah, I choose undesirables. Absolutely 100%. Screw the children. What? I'm sorry, but that question is outright malicious. It seems join us and our movement is the only option, and if you don't, then you must be an undesirable, which some of Max's subscribers and other people buying into this movement outright told creators that they are if they didn't cover it. I hate to break it to you, but some people might not want to cover this content because, number one, it doesn't fit in with their content whatsoever and it's random and it would be disingenuous for them to cover it. And number two, some people are CSA survivors. Number three, some people just aren't equipped to deal with the issue. Some people won't cover it with the sensitivity and accuracy and professionalism that it requires. Some people wouldn't handle the topic matter very well whatsoever and would actually make the problem worse if they covered it. In this summoning ceremony of sorts, he calls on Keemstar, which is absolutely fine, but he adds in that as a loving father, he thinks that he'll do it, which is possibly some of the most emotionally manipulative language I've ever heard, evoking his own paternal feelings to guilt trip him into covering this. Regardless whether or not Keemstar has covered this in the past, why bring up his children as a reason why he should cover this?
If I have to start with every influencer in this goddamned planet just to make anyone give even a slight fuck, so be it. I'd rather have the whole world hate me than ever hear a child's voice being silenced again.
One of the first images that you use is of Blair White, who was a trans woman who has talked openly about her essay. And while people can talk about their essay and may have covered stories of essay in the past, it doesn't mean that they are mentally ready or in the right space to talk about it all the time. And therefore I find it highly insensitive to use an image of somebody who has been vulnerable with their own trauma. Even people who haven't experienced CSA or essay, some of them just won't be mentally in the right space or able to cover the topic with the delicacy that it requires. Influencer / having big numbers does not automatically make somebody qualified to talk about this issue. And YouTube is not the be-all end-all for essay survivors and CSA survivors' voices. I don't know why you guys have this in your head. And yes, Max does really great work, but the idea that justice is the same as having a YouTube video up really rubs me the wrong way and gives off a really bad impression.
If anyone wants to react to this video, my content is free for you to make as much money off of it in whatever way you wish.
May I ask, what is wrong with you? Like, genuinely, what is wrong with you? In this statement, you do not allow for any nuance. You do not say my video is free to react to if you would like to. You don't say that, you say if people want to make money off of it. Why is it that the only reason that somebody would possibly want to react to this is for monetary gain? Why are you equating dissent with clout? Why are you equating critique with wanting money? That's what you say in this video. You haven't said anything about CSA survivors. If anything, you've been talking over CSA survivors throughout this entire thing, telling us how important your content is to CSA survivors. And I'm really sorry, this statement made me so mad. Because it's inconceivable that somebody like me who has experienced CSA and has worked within the psychological field encountering people who have undergone CSA might want to just have a look at your content and critique it for what it is and how you could go about it in a different way. No, that's not the reason why people would want to respond to this video, right? Do you even consider the fact that CSA survivors might not support you? Is that something that hasn't quite crossed your mind? Because from the vibe of this video, it's either children or undesirables. React to this video if you want money and no other option. This is why you cannot talk about these topics without any nuance. Because again, being a CSA survivor is not a belief system. We don't all think the same, we don't all want things to be covered in the same way. And you've split all reactions into CSA survivors, people who agree with you and support CSA survivors, and on the other hand, dirty, evil people who just really like undesirables or don't care about children. There's absolutely nothing in between with this sentiment.
This is the part where you come in. Children, the links are in the description. I kindly ask you to come with me to make a mess for the second time. I want you to pace this until the world is nauseous from looking at it.
You see, that's exactly what they did, and while you didn't direct your subscribers to harass other content creators, they did. And hey, I guess it worked because you got a call with YouTube, but can I ask, was it worth potentially triggering and bringing up trauma for people who didn't ask for it? Was it worth that? Bringing up uncomfortable memories and bringing people into panic attacks, because I've heard of creators being harassed to the point where that happened, and no, I'm not going to say any names. But to put all of that work on a pedestal and have it be so important that you need to direct your viewers to spam both YouTube and other creators indiscriminately gives me a bad vibe. I can't suggest any improvements for the video because I think the video was inherently flawed. I do actually enjoy certain Vigilante content. I'm not against expose videos as a whole. I really enjoy some of the groups that we have here in the UK that do catch undesirables, but they do it correctly. What they do is they create fake profiles of young people and leave them there. They don't add anyone as friends, they don't message anyone. They leave them there and they wait for the undesirables to come to them. They'll then talk to them over the course of however long it takes to arrange a meetup. They will consistently affirm over and over again the age of the person that is in the profile. They will consistently over and over again insist that they are underage. They will not ever provoke the undesirable. They won't suggest inappropriate things, and they won't suggest meeting up. They leave it all up to the undesirable to do those things. This is so when it does eventually go to court, the defense can't be entrapment. When the team have collected enough incriminating evidence, they will either meet up with said undesirable or go to the address of the undesirable. Before going to meet the undesirable, they will print off every single page of chat logs that they have with them and put it in a folder as evidence. Upon meeting up with the undesirable, they will then start live streaming, and there are two main purposes for this. Number one, to expose the person, but number two, protection. It's protection for both the undesirable and for the team. The team can't claim that the undesirable tried to assault them during a citizen's arrest, and vice versa. During the sting operation, they will also have a team go into the home, if they are at the home of the undesirable, to care for any family members that may be present. Because a lot of people forget, when doing these stings, there are also other people involved that had no idea of what the undesirable was doing, so they will provide them with adequate care during and after the operation. And guess what? It's led to arrests and convictions. That is the type of expose content that I want to see. I want to see consideration for the family members and friends of the undesirable who are completely innocent. I want to see arrests. I want to see people being called out in a way that is professional. This is what I would like to see. I don't want to see horror movie content at all. I want it to be real, I want it to be raw, and I want it to be confronting, but not in a way that takes it away from reality. The takeaway from this is that I think YouTube could definitely have some more leeway and make this content more accessible so victims' voices can be heard. On the other hand, I do understand that shock value and shocking content can also come across as exploitative, and I can understand why some people would not want that on the site. All in all, this might be a controversial opinion, I don't know. Leave a rose emoji in the comments if you've made it this far, and I will see you in the next video if you're still here for that. I'll see you soon. Bye.